this is Sabina at Cross Keys Crafts. It's the end of September and I'm planning to record a few videos for October when I'm away in Germany. And my idea was to create some short videos, some quick cards that are easy to make and that don't need a lot of stamps, a lot of folding and cutting and all these things. So I thought I'd dig into my stash of Lavinia stamps and find some that I haven't used yet. And one of them is this lovely open sunflower. That was not the last release, but the one before. And I only bought this one sunflower, but I haven't used it yet, and I thought I'd do that today. The technique I'm using, I've tried something similar before, but I saw a video by Andy Skinner today, and he used it for one of his stamps. I have got one Andy Skinner stamp. It's the one with the boy and the balloon. I made a few cards with that. If you haven't watched that, I'll put a video link below. And I thought I'd just use this technique on this card. I have cut a panel. This was actually meant for a different card, but I couldn't find my butterfly stamp, so I thought I'd just use it for the sunflower. And I'll be making a DL card. So I've cut my panel to 3 3/4 by 7 3/4, and this will go on a 4 by 8 card. So, and I've chosen 2 of the Elements inks. The important thing for this technique is that the first lot of inks is water reactive. So I've chosen the pine for the stalk and the leaves and the sundance for the top. I could come in with another colour in the middle, but I'm not too bothered about that at the moment. So, and I'm just inking up the flower head with my yellow, which is very juicy, which is good, I think, for this technique. I haven't tried the technique properly. I watched the video and I believe I can do it. So, and then the bottom, I'm using the pine. I know this is not super juicy, but it's a sort of medium green, so I thought that would work best. I could have gone in with the olive. I know that there's a little bit juicier. I don't know if one day Lavinia stamps actually will do re-inkers, but I think some of my really older pads I might have to replace them one day. So, and then I've got this on the acrylic block. You could do that in your stamping platform, but I think it'll be easier because I want to manipulate this. So I'm using, let me just think in which order I'm doing it. See, this is where I always go wrong. I would have used my water spritz on here and then stamped it. But what Andy Skinner did was he actually spritzed the water onto the paper. So I'm going to do that. This is just my 300 GSM from UK Crafts. So this is quite wet here. This can hold water quite nicely. You might want to use watercolor paper, but I find usually I get away with it. So, and then I'm stamping on this. So I tell you what, I'll do it sideways, because then I can hold the acrylic block like this. Probably do it a little bit higher so I've got space for the sentiment. So I'm placing this down here now, and the idea is that the ink gets sort of, you know, soaks into the paper, and then I've got enough water hopefully on here to move this about, because you see the idea is then to add a little bit more and make this run. You don't have to make it run, but it gives quite an interesting look. So I hope the camera picks it up. I try not to move it too much, but I want this really to run. The green doesn't run as much as the yellow, but I think it's because the there was much more colour. It was much juicier on there. I will use some more kitchen towel to mop up the ink that's sort of running towards the edge here. Just dab that off a little bit. So I'm leaving this to dry now, so it's really not a quick craft as such, but I can have a coffee in the meantime or do some of my daily chores. I don't like to use my heat tool on this because I find it always warps more. I find if I leave this to dry, it's much better and it warps less. So yeah, I'm leaving it as it is, and then I'll come back and show you what I do with it. It's about 45 minutes later. I did another panel off camera, and this time I used the Lavinia Elements Olive, so this is definitely a bit darker. I also, when I spritzed it, let it run down a little bit rather than keeping it level. And I've also used my heat tool to dry this, just to show you what I was talking about. So I always find if you compare this, although I'm drying it from the front and from the back, I always think I get better results if I leave it to dry by air. Yes, there was a little bit, well, no, there wasn't less water actually, it's just less colour moved about, but the water I think was the same. This one is still a little bit damp in the middle, but I think I get away with stamping on this. So this time I'm using my stamping platform because I think it'll be easier for me to line up the stamp than hovering over it with the acrylic block. So I'm just securing this here. So especially as it's very easy to bend the stem a little bit. So all I'm doing is I'm placing this, as I said, on the top here again, and I have to look on the side a little bit to match those leaves. They're really difficult to see, or I could just lift this up and make sure the stem is level at the bottom. It doesn't have to be exactly, but I basically want to roughly place it over there. And now I'm going to stamp in black. I could imagine that a dark brown like the pine cone might be nice as well, but I really want a bold look. So I'm inking this up thoroughly. So now the idea is that it's already sort of coloured except for the centre, although that is dark anyway on the stamp, and you've got the colour on the outside, and that should give it this sort of, well, arty watercolour look that I always struggled, can you see, to get with when I spritz the stamp. I've tried that before. So stamping on the wet card I think is so much better. I don't have a lot of green here, so I think I go in with a green pen again, and I will do some dark colouring in the middle. I think I will actually, this time I will use my watercolour pencils, but oh, before I take it out I will also stamp a sentiment. So I've just got the heartfelt verses here. I thought I'd do one card that says just for you, and I think I'd do birthday wishes on another. So I just wanted to show you this here. On this one here, because I've got a lot going on at the bottom, I think it will need something at the top, so I will definitely do some ink blending around this. On this one here, I think it's a bit more, well, clean and simple if you want to call it. It's got more space, so I don't really want to overdo it. So I think I'd do birthday wishes on this one here. I could, if I wanted to, come in, or could have done that before, come in with a bit of colour behind the birthday wishes, but I think I will actually just stamp that in dark and leave this really, really plain. I always try to show you different techniques, different styles, because I enjoy them too. I don't make, well, hardly ever make two cards that look the same. So these are lovely stamps. I wish Lavinia would do a few more sentiment stamps like that, because sometimes that's one thing that is missing, is a good sentiment stamp. So that's the first one. And then this one, as I said. What helps though is if you just bend it like this, but sometimes it's still difficult to glue it down afterwards. So, little trick, let me just get my packaging from the bin. It wasn't even in the bin yet, it was still on the side here. Because what you can do is, because I've still got some residue ink on this stamp, rather than cleaning it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of this film here, ideally not the one with the sticker on it. Sorry if this is making an awful noise on camera. And I can place this over the top, align the stamp, and any residue of ink, you know, if I still need to shift it around, will end up on the packaging. So I can even use the packaging now to align this. So again, we don't have to be precise. Then I can pick it up, peel the packaging off, and can stamp it as before. So I will do this off camera now to keep this video short. I will pick a sentiment for this. As I said, I think I'll do the just for you, and then I will show you how I do some ink blending around this. So on the second panel, I just want to show you this a little bit closer. So I've got the leaves dark enough there. It's maybe a little bit offset, but I don't mind that look. I think this looks really cool. But as I said before, I find this needs a sort of frame. And at first I thought I'd come back with the pine, or the olive green, but I actually decided to go in with a vintage photo. I think this would look nice, and I'm also going to use the vintage photo to colour in the middle piece there. For that I've got a smaller, like a stencil brush, so just inking this up here. Gives a bit of a matte look because it's an oxide. So I don't have an equivalent colour in the elements. I've only got the truffle as a brown, and I don't want that. So I think that's a good look. And I'll zoom in a little bit if I can. So, and then I just want to do really some very basic ink blending around this. So as always, I'm starting in the corners, that a little bit darker, and then work my way around. I will quickly speed this up for this video. Yeah, I think I'm happy with this now. So I wanted to leave a little bit of white space, especially around here. I think it looks like a halo. But can you see the difference to before? So it's not like a sort of endless card. I've really framed it nicely, and I think the brown goes with it perfectly. So I will mount this on my 4x8 card, and for the first panel, as suggested, I just need to be mindful that I've got this ink here. I'm just working on a old laminated poster here. That's perfect for ink blending. So I'm just coming in with my watercolour pencils. These are just from Derwent. Any watercolour pencil is fine. I don't think you need anything special. So again, I'm using brown for the middle, and I'm being a bit mindful because this is still a little bit damp. So I'm very gently going over this. I couldn't quite decide what colours I wanted, but this is again like a medium brown. And because the green has slightly disappeared here, I want to come in with some green again on the leaves, just to colour this in. And you could leave it as it is, because these are like basically like crayons, but I will increase the pressure a little bit here and there, just to have a bit more ink on. I decided I want to come in with a little bit of water, so I'm using my acrylic block. I've got my water spray here, but I'll take it a little bit away from my picture just to have a drop of water there. And then I'm coming in with a clean brush. Just had to rummage a little bit. They're not always necessarily clean on my desk. I've actually got two mugs, one with theoretically clean brushes and one with brushes that need to be washed. So I'm going in with the green first. I'm just moving that colour a little bit about. Just to sort of have it a little bit smoother. And then I'm doing the same up here with the brown. I'll just show you up close in a moment what that looks like. So I hope you can see the difference. So yeah, I'm going to mount this as well, just getting a bit conscious. Oh, I think it's the way I cut the paper there. It's a bit scruffy there at the top. I think with this one, I will not frame it. I'll have a think once I've placed it down onto the card whether it needs anything. If I want to do something with it, I think it might be just some doodling or just a black frame. Although the thing that Joe Rice does is go around with it with a Sharpie. I don't particularly like the look of that. For some reason, it always reminds me of sympathy cards. So I'll have a little think off camera. Both my cards are finished now. With this one here, I had a little think. I did fancy like a stitched edge, and you can actually draw that on there as well, but I didn't trust myself today to get any straight lines. And I had a look in my stash if I've got any dies with stitching, and I found this die here. So I just went for it. And I just die cut it once from this side. Made sure that the because this has only got the stitching on one side of the cutting line, so I made sure the stitching was on the inside, which then gave a different shape on this side than on the other one, which I think is quite interesting. I also cut just a little bit of the top and the bottom then, sort of to get the proportions right. I could have cut it at the top and bottom as well, but I didn't really want that. I'm still a little bit undecided whether I want to add some stickles or some shimmer to the middle, but I'll decide that at a later point. But yeah, I think these are both lovely cards. This sort of a little bit simpler, I think, except for then the interesting shape on it. This one a little bit bolder, but I think they're both lovely cards, and I hope you like the technique with the water. I most certainly do, and I'm pleased that I finally got this right after seeing the Andy Skinner video. Yeah, if you like these cards, you might want to give me a thumbs up, and I'd be very happy if you subscribed, shared this video and commented. I keep forgetting to say that I'm also on Facebook now. I've got a Facebook group. It's called Cross Keys Crafts Creations. You have to answer 3 questions to be admitted, but that is just because I don't want anyone just to join it. I really want people who follow me to join my group. And I'm also, as of, I don't know, a few days ago, I'm on Instagram, but I'm still finding my way around that. So at the moment, I'm not posting that much on there, but I think it's quite nice actually to go on there as well, because yeah, many people I know from Facebook now, I know from YouTube now, they are on Instagram as well, which is lovely. So yeah, and I'll see you again soon with a hopefully short video. Take care.